Welcome to my channel. I am Anita Goa. This is an updated tutorial on how you can press up into a wheel pose if you really struggle with that. The first video that I shared with you has been super helpful and very popular, but I have a few extra tools up my sleeve that I wanted to share with you just in case you need a little extra help or you come upon this video. It's going to involve having a chair, a stability ball, a yoga wheel, a bolster, as well as a couple of yoga blocks. Now don't worry, you don't need to have all of these tools, but maybe one of them or a couple of them is really going to support you along the way. So let me get at it. Let me know in the comment box below if this was helpful. I would love to hear from you, and feel free to subscribe if you find the content that I'm sharing helpful. I'll see you on the mat. I'm going to start off with the stability ball. Now, what's very important for me to remind you of is that wheel pose is actually built from the ground up through the feet and the legs and the pelvis. And I think that the moment you get that, then it's going to be much easier to access the upper body and to then press up into the wheel pose. So using the stability ball can be a wonderful tool to support you in getting that right position for your pelvis. So you want to keep the legs maybe hip distance or shoulder distance apart. Find your tailbone and imagine that you have a string attached to your tailbone, and draw that string upwards so the tailbone draws up towards the sky. And now you start to notice that your buttocks muscles, particularly the bottom of your buttocks and the backs of your thighs, your hamstrings, are engaged. You want those muscles engaged. This is going to strengthen your back body muscles and be so supportive for the wheel. Then as you go back, and as you keep lifting your pelvis, you'll feel a little stretch, or maybe a deep stretch into the front of your hips, into the psoas muscle. And now you can let your head drop. And you can just hang out here, really feeling your legs supporting you. And the longer you hold this, the more your legs are going to be on fire. Then you'll just let your head drop back. And I'm going to turn myself in the opposite direction so that you can see my upper body when I'm in the same position. So I'm here, I'm letting my head drop back, completely secure. Now you have to engage your core so that you don't fall off the ball, right? And now what you can do is just slowly just start to straighten your legs out. And then your head is going to start to move further and further towards the ground. And now you'll feel a pretty deep stretch probably into your abdomen, continuing into the hip flexors. And then if you reach the arms over the head, it can go straight over the head like this. Then you can keep the knees bent, so you can adjust it according to where you're at, whether the legs are bent or extended. Now this one will simulate the yoga wheel a little bit more with the legs bent. Then you play around, maybe moving the feet a little bit further in, letting your head go towards the floor. And then see if you can find a position where your palms can ground into the floor. Now you can adjust there, and you can move your feet further in, go with your head a little bit closer to the ground. If you find that your shoulder muscles, your triceps maybe, your wrists, your forearms are not liking this position, then you adjust yourself and just hang out here. But just start to now feel how your feet are supporting you, your pelvis is supporting you. And then from there, as you start to get more and more comfortable, then maybe you can press through the feet and through the hands, and gradually you'll start to have less pressure on the ball, and you'll be imitating that wheel pose more and more. All right, so that is a very supportive way of preparing yourself to move into the wheel pose and then pressing up into the wheel pose. Now I'll show you something similar with the chair. Now this one is an Iyengar chair, and you don't necessarily need exactly this kind of chair, but maybe something similar. So what we're going to try to do is I'll imitate what I did on the wheel. So you want to make sure that your head is on the chair, your upper back is on the chair, keeping your feet maybe hip distance or shoulder distance apart, lifting the tailbone, feeling your buttocks and the hamstrings engaged, right? So just start to notice this position so you can stay here, and it's super toning for the back body. And then maybe you just want to extend the arms over the head, and you start to feel that stretch right into your lats, into the side body there, as well as into your shoulders and into the chest. And you can hang out here, just really getting that foundation. And now I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to turn in the opposite direction to show you. All right, now I'm going to do the same as what I did on the stability ball. I'm going to go a little bit more in towards a wheel position. Now, if you do this on your own, make sure that you bend from your middle back. You can't bend from your lower back or your upper back. So you have to find that right position to bend from, because the spine doesn't bend backwards in all of the different positions of the spine. So just be very mindful, but I'll just show you. So first you come in and you find your leg positioning, and then from there you can let your head drop back. So just be very mindful of your head, and you can continue to go back, letting your head drop, supporting yourself with the chair. And now I am long in my legs, I'm long in my torso, so I don't need any help. For if you have shorter legs or a shorter torso, maybe you need to place blocks underneath your feet, or maybe a bolster or blocks underneath your head. Okay, so see here, I have my pelvic positioning, my feet are grounded. Now I can hold on to the legs, I can slide my arms through, I can hang out here and just explore the pose, just feeling the shape of the wheel pose, noticing the muscles in the front body stretching and the muscles in the back body contracting, right? So they're all coming together. Now what you can do is try to put your hands in its position, shoulder distance apart, drawing the elbows in, maybe wrapping the shoulder blades a little bit into the armpits, and then pressing through the feet, pressing through the hands. And you can try to do some little push-ups here. Just start to feel that, like training your arms to move in that direction, letting your nervous system get used to being in this position, and then eventually pressing yourself up. Okay, so that's a second way. Now to come out of this one can be a bit challenging, and you also have to be very mindful there. Now I have spinal stenosis, I have a herniated disc, I know how to take care of myself, and it's pretty healed, but I still have to be careful. So if you have any of those things or anything along your spine, be very mindful and practice with care. Now I'll show you the similar thing with the yoga wheel. See, so many different options. All right, here we have the yoga wheel. And now sitting down, keeping your feet about hip distance apart, shoulder distance apart, and lifting the pelvis, right? First, getting used to remembering that the pose is built from the ground through the feet up. So getting that. And then from here, you can move your hips forward, let your head drop back so that your head is supportive. Let your shoulders adjust, maybe lifting your pelvis up a little bit higher, noticing how this feels, right? So just imitating the shape. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to turn myself in the opposite direction so that you can see my arms a little bit better. All right, so my head is secure, and then I extend my arms over. I'm here, I feel fine, I can breathe, and that's very important that you put yourself in a position where you can always breathe, because if you can breathe, then you will take care of yourself and you will not overdo it, because you don't want to get injured doing this stuff. Then see what can happen with your hands. Can you put your hands in the position? Do you have to adjust your upper body? Maybe lift your pelvis up a little bit more. And then pressing through the hands, pressing through the feet. And then can you gradually start to put more pressure into the feet, into the hands, lifting the pelvis so that you take some of your upper body weight off of the wheel. And then maybe eventually you'll get there where you can press yourself all the way up, right? Remember, it's a journey. It takes time. It doesn't happen by itself. It happens over time. Now, you might notice in either of those positions that, you know what, I'm pretty good in my legs, getting my pelvis in the right position. I feel pretty good in my upper body, my chest, it feels open, my shoulders even. Maybe it's the forearms, maybe it's the wrists that need time to adjust. Someone said, but my hands are too small. Maybe it's not the fact that your hands are too small, maybe it's just the fact that it's very tight right here, right? We get so tight working on our computers, on our phones, and this area of our body these days, I think, needs to be paid a little bit more attention. So massage it, maybe give yourself some stretches that you can do, turning your palms onto the ground in the opposite direction of what we do, and then shifting your weight back, shifting your weight forward, maybe going a little bit in a circular movement, works really well. And also stretching them in the opposite direction to get a little counter stretch. So turning your palms in, that can also be excellent. Now, the last position that I'll share with you is similar to what I shared in the first tutorial. Now this one, we're going to come to the wall. So just check out the first tutorial and you might learn something there that I'm not sharing here. But with this one, we're going to use the yoga blocks. We're going to put the yoga blocks on a slant on the wall. And then we're going to take the bolster. So I put the yoga blocks under the bolster. And now I come into the same position as I did with the chair and the wheel. Now here I have the bolster across my shoulder blades. In the first tutorial I had the bolster along my spine. There's no end to creativity, huh? Then let your head go back, find your position, and maybe it feels better to keep your hands on the blocks against the wall. Now you just have to make sure that you secure your blocks so that you don't fall over the place. Lift your pelvis, and then you have to straighten out the arms a little bit more in order to then be able to push yourself up. All right, so it's a little bit different than when the arms are bent. And then you can gradually come back down. All right, were you able to see that? But yeah, when we integrate tools like this, it takes the brain, it takes the nervous system a little bit of time to gather all of the different pieces and bring it into a connected unit to then be able to press up. But I hope that I've given you some extra little nuggets here that you can practice, and it will wake up certain areas of your body and then bring it in so that you can rise up into your full wheel. Yes, and please, just in the spirit of yoga, right? We try not to be attached to the outcome. So this is aparigraha, non-attachment. There might come a point as when you are practicing this and you recognize, you know what? Wheel pose just isn't my pose. I need to just stay in, or not just, I need to stay in bridge pose. That's where I'm at. Maybe it has to do with the way that your shoulders were formed. Maybe it has to do with your wrists. And it's okay. Wheel pose does not define you as a human being. So this is a very important part on this path of yoga, is practice with non-attachment. So all you can control is your actions, but you can't control the outcome of your actions. So practice, see what happens, notice what might need to be stronger in your body, more flexible in your body, and maybe that will help you to one day get the wheel pose. But maybe along the way you recognize, you know what, it has to do with my skeleton and there's nothing you can do about that, and it's not a pose for you, and that's okay. And off you go to continue your yoga practice. I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments how this was, and I hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next video. I'll link the part 1 in the description box below so you can check that one out. Bye.